In this video, what we are going to see is the paper 1, UGC NTA, UGC NET 2022. Here, in this video, we are going to see the types of communication barriers. Types of barriers, the types of communication barriers. The first one is semantic barriers, organizational barriers, interpersonal barriers, individual barriers, geographic barriers, physical barriers, and technical aspects in communication barriers. So, these are the different types of communication barriers, and in this we are going to see now the first one, semantic barriers. So what are this barrier in the sense? This is related to the process of coding and decoding the messages. So various types of semantic gaps found in the day-to-day use of people are as follows. The first one is words having similar pronunciation but multiple meaning. In the sense, what is this multiple meaning? The words having similar pronunciation but multiple meaning. Okay, for example, we can see sight, sight, sight. See, these three words are the same pronunciation but they have a different meaning. Sight in the sense seeing and sight in the sense place. So like this, the meanings are different but the pronunciation is same. So in such conditions, these are the barriers of receiving the message. And the next one what we see is badly expressed message. So what do you mean by badly expressed message? The lack of clarity and the precision make the message badly expressed. So lack of coherence, awkward sentence structure, jargons, etc. are common faults what the human being do, which lead to such messages. So whatever the message we would like to give to the other person, we have to have the clarity, otherwise it goes very badly. Then the third one is wrong interpretation. So whenever one interprets a symbol, his understanding may differ with others. So we have to interpret in a correct way. And now we are going to see the organizational barrier. This is a second barrier, and this is most probably this takes place in the organization. What are these barriers we are going to see now? The first one, organization culture and climate. In each and every organization, there exists a unique culture and climate. The climate and culture of an organization ultimately influence the freedom, trust, and interaction pattern among people in an organization. So you can see here the organizational rules and regulations. So each and every organization has its own rules and regulations. So these rules and regulations of the organization, this is what I told, vary from one organization to another. They may be so rigid that they may influence the flow of information in the wrong direction. So if the organization is a little bit rigid, then it goes in a wrong way. That's what given here. The status relationship. The status, power, and position relationship acts as the hurdle in the effective communication. Individuals may not be able to say what they wish to say because of their fear for the position and the power of the other party in the communication process. This you can find very clearly among the teacher and the student. The student would like to say so many things to the teacher, but the position makes the student to talk less or express his ideas to the teacher. So this is fear is one of the main barrier of the organizational communication. And the complex hierarchical structure of the organization, like too tall or too much of divisionalization of the organization, may not facilitate the free flow of communication. So you might have understood this one. So if it is too tall or too much of divisionalization of the organization, there won't be, we can't find the free flow of communication. This is also one of the reasons of the organization that the communication won't be free flow. And the next one is lack of cooperation between superior and subordinate. This is a very interesting barrier, lack of cooperation. This we can find in most of the organization between the superior and the subordinate. That is the higher authority and the next, what can we say, head of the department and the subordinates. There may not be proper cooperation between the superior and subordinate for various personal or organizational relationship, which may hold to improper communication in an organization. See, for example, head of the department and other lecturers or the principal and the teachers, you can find this one. There will be a proper cooperation. Next one is interpersonal barriers. What do you mean by interpersonal barriers? The lack of proper channel. A lack of proper channel. Next one is no interest to communicate, lack of cooperation, lack of trust, the poor relationship between superior and subordinate, fear of penalty. So these are the interpersonal in the sense the communication between two media. So first one we can see it is lack of proper channel. There may be complexity in the organizational structure which may influence proper and effective communication from subordinate. They may not feel free to communicate because of the pressure of position, power and authorities. See, sometimes we can find this type in the organization, that is proper and effective communication from the subordinate, that is they may not feel free to communicate because of the pressure of the position, power and authority. See, this you can find among the principal and the subordinates, the teachers, you can find it. No interest to communicate. There may not be any interest on the part of the subordinates to have a dialogue, discussion and interaction with their superiors, which affect the communication process adversely. This you can find in the teaching field or in the boss or in the companies. The subordinates, they have the fear to talk to the manager, or the manager, he hesitates to talk to the MD regarding some factor. So this we can find it, that is no interest. See, this mainly in the problem which takes place, salary. See, the workers want more salary in the sense they talk to the manager, whereas the manager, he has to talk to the higher authority, where the higher authority won't be ready, that is the manager won't be, he may not have the interest to communicate to the EMD. So this is what happened in the organization. And lack of cooperation and mutual understanding also leads to the hiding of certain information between the superior and the subordinate in the organization. So this already we have seen. The next one is lack of interest. There may not be a lack of trust and coordination between the superior and the subordinate. This commonly we see everywhere, which may lead to ineffective communication. This is true. Actually, we have to trust the members, those who are in the organization, And coordination is very, very important between the superior and the subordinates. Otherwise the organization fail. So take care about the communication between the subordinates and the superior. Superior should be very, very careful while handling the subordinates. And poor relationship between superior and subordinate. This is again the same. Very poor relationship between superior and the subordinates make the organization fail. A good relationship must develop between the superior and the subordinate frequently and freely. They must interact to improve the upward and downward communication system. That is, the superior should ready to communicate or interact with the subordinates. Subordinates also have the right to talk freely to the superior. So if the system is like that, then there will be a good growth in the organization or any institution. It may be the university also, the dean, the registrar, everybody should have the easy communication with the subordinates. That is the professors, assistant professors, like that. Then coming to the next one, fear of penalty. If subordinate feels that because of the free expression and upward communication, he will face some type of penalty, there is a possibility that he may not provide a full or correct message to the superior. So this is also takes place in the organization. And let us see the next one. Individual psychosocial barrier. Individual psychosocial barrier. What do you mean by this? So this is in the individual. Individual or psychosocial barriers are the prime barriers in interpersonal communication. People have different styles of communication. People also have personal feelings, desires, fears, hopes, likes, dislikes, attitudes, views, and options. See, each and every individual is different, and the way they communicate is also different. So sometimes the body language is a little bit different. Sometimes some are very humble and some are a little bit bold, so their body language is different. So the particular person, one who is communicating, should take first, the person should learn the person and receive the message. The style, if you see, this is the first one is style. Style, how a person communicates, involves many elements, though style overlaps with the several of the other factors in the analysis. Style in the sense not an external personality, the way they communicate will be different. This will be different from each person to person. So one should first know the style of the particular person. How a person communicates involves many elements. Second one, let us see selective perception. What do you mean by selective perception? The receiver may make a world of his own around himself. He projects his interest and expectation as he decodes messages. He may only take that much piece of information which may suit his words of thinking. As a result, the person acquires incomplete and inappropriate information, which influence the communication process. Having a poor self-concept and self-understanding or a poor understanding of others can cause perceptual distortion. Yeah, this is also an important thing. That is, so many people never understand others. See, sometimes we may misunderstand others. We have to be very, we have to be very good understanding, then only we can receive the message in a positive way. Whatever may be the message, First, we have to understand in a proper way. So, having a poor self-concept. See, if a person is always negative, he understands in a negative way only. So, this is what this point shows, the selective perception. The next one is a status relationship. There may be status and power relationship which may hinder the communication process and affect the effectiveness of communication. This we can see in the organization, that is the boss and the subordinates. That's a clear cut, that is the MD, general manager, and the next staff. We can see this relationship, power relationship, as well as the status. See, if you take the registrar, he never speak to the staff very freely, she or he won't. So, which may hinder the communication process and affect the effectiveness of the communication. Status effects also hinder communication is as much as people occupying higher position in the organization tend to tell a lot to subordinates but not to listen. See, what you can see in a school or in a college, the correspondent, then the principal, then the staff members, we can find such a type of communication barrier. Yeah, the staff is not ready to spoke freely to the principal. And the same way, the principal is little bit hesitate to talk to the MD. So this also an important what we call the barrier. As a big thing, and this is what we have to express today in a meeting. This is what we have to express today to the principal or the manager or the MD. But at the time of meeting, it is not possible to express in a free way. So this is one of the important barriers, status relationship. Next one, poor attention and retention. About half of the information, if not properly written, is lost. The sender may suffer from each problem. It also said that about 30% of the information is lost in each oral transmission. Human memory may not always retain what it is told. This causes communication breakdown and necessitates the repetition of the message using several channels. So this, I think you might have understand this. So poor attention is also is one of the main individual barriers, psychosociological barriers. Next, what we are going to see is inattention. Inattention in the sense the preoccupied mind of the receiver and the reluctant non-listening is one of the major psychological barriers. It is because of it that people do not react to ideas, messages received in communication. See, this is what usually happened in the public meeting, or when the teacher teaching, the student is not interested, not interested on teacher in the sense he or she never listen the class, her mind will be preoccupied with something else. So inattention, if attention is not there, nothing will enter into the mind. Okay, so this is mainly we can see in the public meeting, during in the churches when the preach in the sense very few people listen, very few people. Most of the people sometimes they sleep while preaching. And the next one what we see is undue importance of written words. Undue importance of written words. The undue importance of given to the written words may lead to loss of information. The successive information is not accurate and right. So the written communication often tells what is to be done but not why it should be done. It takes the persuasive quality. See, the written words should be very, very clear, and it should be understood by the operant people. So if it is not in a proper way, then that message won't be a proper message. Next one what we see is defensiveness. If one feels threatened by a message, one becomes defensive and respond in such a way that reduces understanding. Such defensive behavior prevents understanding. So, if it is what defensive, then the understanding will be a little bit disturbed. Then closed mind, limited intellectual background, limited reading and narrow interest can cause a person's mind to be narrow. See, closed mind in the sense they won't be open. Openly they won't communicate with other people. They won't express their ideas or views to the other people. They keep everything inside them only. So, limited intellectual background. This is because of the presence of limited intellectual background, limited reading, and narrow interest cause a person's mind to be narrow. So, we have to have a broad mind. Then only we can receive the message in a proper way and in a positive way. If you have a narrow mind, it's a little bit difficult. This limits the ability to take new ideas. People with a closed mind do not take in and any new information or suggestion to change. So we can't change those people. Then next one, state of health. Health, this is also very important point. Physical condition can affect the efficiency in all communication skills. In the case of poor health condition, the communicating ability is reduced as the mind is not alert and perception is low. So the mind should be healthy, then only whatever the message given. See, this we can find among the students. If their mind is healthy, then they receive whatever the teacher taught. Otherwise, everything will be wasted. Next one, filtering. Filtering is the process of reducing the details as aspects of message. Each person who receives the message reduces it according to his or her understanding of the situation. In this process, much of the important information may be lost or misinterpreted, and the sender will fail to convey what he wants to convey. And next one, what we are going to see is geographic barriers. What do you mean by geographic barriers? You might have known about the culture, isn't it? So culture is a shared set of values and attributes of a group. It is the total of the ways of living built by a group and transmitted from one generation to another. Culture is so much a part of an individual's manner of talking, behaving, and thinking that communication style and competence are influenced by it. So this is also makes a barrier. The next one, this is called physical barrier. The previous slide what we have seen is, the previous point what we have seen is it is a geographic barrier. Now it is physical barrier. See, the following obstacles are considered under this category. First one is noise. Noise is a major physical barrier. And next one is environment. Interference may also arise external transceivers, number of links in the chain, and circumstantial factors. The same sort of differentiation in circumstances counts for the channels within each of the level, and in broader terms for the oral, written, and non-verbal communication. See, for example, a speech is delivered before a small dinner gathering will be different from the same speech delivered before an auditorium full of people, is it not? So, everyone is markedly different while sitting to watch in a cricket match rather than a legal hearing. Still, another circumstantial feature, a listener who has to stand because the seats are all taken is generally not the same as he or she would be seated comfortably. Somebody, what we say, in a meeting, we get a nice seat, then we sit relaxedly and we listen to the speakers. Or else sometimes the speaker is a very good speaker, in the sense we would stand and listen the speech. So everything is under the circumstance. Then defects in the medium. What are the defects we can find in the medium? In the sense, devices used for transmitting the communication are external and usually not in the control of the sender or receiver. The telephone, the postal system, the courier service, or even the electronic media may fail or break down sometimes to pass the message in a proper way. So these are the physical barriers. Now we can see the technical aspects in communication barriers. What we are going to see in the technical aspects in communication barriers. See, sometimes by chance it succeeds. On account of various barriers, the possibility of success in the flow of communication is rare. In the message can be, if the message can be understood in different ways, it will be understood in just the way that does the most harm. People receive the message in their way. In the most of the cases, the most harmful side of communication is considered. It refers to the sender, the manipulating information so that the receiver will see it as more favorable. Then sometimes in organization, what we find is the information is condensed and synthesized. Objective information does not reach the authority. The more the vertical levels in the organization hierarchy, the more opportunities there are filtering. Then meta communication. What we see here is in this communication, apart from the message, there is a meta message which exists in the people's mind because of their action, such as being hard to connect. It is the most important thing in seat word language. So I hope you could have understand the barriers of communication. So thanks for watching and subscribing this channel for further videos. Thank you. Thank you so much.